Let's take a look at some information and charts on REN for Brave New Coin. So REN is a wrapper that allows effectively atomic swaps, or like atomic swaps, where you can send coins to different places not native to that chain. They call it a inter-blockchain liquidity wrapper, basically. It's kind of the off-meta version of wrapped BTC. I'll get to that in a second. But you send your token through REN, it gives you the REN version, and then a small fee for minting it that goes to the nodes that do the minting through dark pools. And off you go to a variety of chains or dApps or DeFi applications. They talk about cross-chain OTC stuff as well. The bottom line is there's no KYC AML here. So most of the people with all of the money have to have a certain regulatory requirement to participate, which is why they participate in things like wrapped BTC over using REN for the most part. That's not saying that all of REN activity is illegal activity, but all of WBTC activity is KYC AML'd if it's being issued. Whereas REN, that's not the case. At least currently. That can always be tacked on later. But right now, the minting is done through dark pools. And the dark pools are required to have 100,000 REN. So kind of a masternode situation there. The more REN that's locked up in those nodes, the better for price. Those nodes are subject to price volatility, obviously, but also get part of that minting fee, or get the minting fee. And there's a burning mechanic, so they got a lot going on the back end of things for the nodes to incentivize that. But unless there's a ton of minting going on, it's not like most people are going to be participants as a node. So volumes are increasing. You can see the number of chains here continues to increase. BSC, Phantom, Polygon, Avalanche, Solana. The number of assets on all these chains likely to be increasing as well. For the most part, BTC is the top coin being minted on all of these chains, along with some weird stuff like Filecoin and Doge and Luna and Zcash. And they've got, 751 million locked, volume all time, 6.4 billion. So you have to calculate, if you're running a masternode, is it worth it? What is the fee rate over time? Blah, 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 right? Do some math, figure out what's going on here. But again, are most people going to do that, or are they just going to send USDC to Aave, right? If they're going to stake something, they're going to do it through a stablecoin, most likely. Unless you're a REN community member. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, just unless you're part of the community, you're probably not going to participate here. You can see the total network fees here at 10.8 million. And if we look at REN TVL over time, it's certainly down since earlier in 2021. Slowly recovering here. But in general, nothing super exciting across the board. REN BTC picking up. This is just the ETH chain, I believe, but issuance is picking up here. And if we compare that to wrapped BTC, it's kind of no contest, right? Wrapped BTC, clearly the winner here. As a percentage, it has 94% of the market share on any given day. That's probably only going to increase if any regulations whatsoever hit the DeFi ecosystem. My guess is they will eventually either add KYC AML or just sort of try to block US people from using REN BTC, or from using REN, the protocol. If you look at transaction counts for REN, those have continued to decline to multi-month lows, very near 1 year lows here. So not a lot of on-chain activity, not bullish whatsoever. Transaction counts or transaction sizes increasing, but not super relevant for most coins. But this is problematic to see on-chain activity fall off to nothing, because you kind of do need REN on-chain to mint to do things, right? It has a job other than governance. It does a thing, It's part of the nodes. It's part of the fees, minting, burning, blah, blah, blah. Active addresses also down significantly from the highs and very near multi-month lows. So that's not bullish either. NVT creeping up slowly, measure of economic utility. You want to see this falling or holding at lows, and watching this rise slowly, certainly bearish for price as well. If we look at MVRV, which is a direct measure of market cap versus on-chain activity, for most coins, anything above 2 is a sell signal. And it looks like for REN, historically, it got to nearing 3 here. That was the top at the time. Then 1.5 is kind of held as the top-ish. Not a great signal here, but on any higher highs past, like let's say this thing goes to 250 plus price-wise, I would be looking at MVRV. Is market cap 2 times on-chain activity at that point in time? Is it 3 times on-chain activity, right? Anything higher here is probably a be careful, definitely think about selling type signal. So not a ton of fundamental analysis on REN. You could probably dig deeper on the fees and the burning and the minting side of things. It's just like, it's too small, you know, relative to the bigger players. So there's not really not much juice in that squeeze, let's say. On technicals, it has bounced on the yearly pivot. It has bounced on the previous triangular point support, kind of where it should have. This is why I always encourage people, when you have levels, whether it be inverted head and shoulders, support resist level, or this triangular point, always just leave that on the chart, because you never know when you may need it. And it's times like this where it definitely came in handy. Now it helps that everything else looked like this, and it had a triple bottom, bull div, inverted head and shoulders, whatever, and it's mean reverting right now. But the 5200 is still bearish. It fell out of this falling wedge below the 200-day moving average. It just kind of puked out the bottom and working its way on a 2x from the bottom now. Certainly looks like it stopped dying, but it needs some time. It needs a couple weeks most likely to determine whether or not this is actually going to be bullish continuation here or not. Most of the volume historically has been sub 12 cents. I don't think this is at risk of lower lows or anything like that. It's just doesn't look like it necessarily wants a mega up move from here. Historically, this thing has retraced for many months, or consolidated for many months before actually making a move. On the cloud, it still looks like it has potential for 75 cents. So this would be an edge-to-edge trade where your target is 75 cents, your entry is now, and your stop loss is around 38 cents, whatever the key June on the bottom of the cloud is. Now this may hug the bottom of the cloud and then go to 75, right? If it's in the cloud, anything can happen. It's just telling you this is the 50% level from high to low. And once it starts its retracement journey, its bullish reversal journey, it very likely will hit that level, which is why you see me even pointing these trades out, because they happen so frequently. Very high conviction setup there. On the 12-hour, it's also above the 12-hour cloud. So let's say you don't like using the daily, you don't like this setup, you can always just watch it as a garden variety bullish Kumo breakout on the 12-hour, because this gives you the entry, and then the daily gives you the target at 75 cent level currently. Looking at REN BTC, I mean, this thing looks like a lot of old alt BTC charts where they just like have these pump and dumps and never recover. So this isn't anything I'd want to hold over BTC for an extended period of time. It's at a multi-month low, arguably working on some sort of bullish divergence. But if I'm a buyer here, I'm probably buying sub 700 sats and just kind of holding, right, for these highs again, whenever that may be. Kind of like Doge, you know, just trade it as a range. Maybe it goes to 1500 sats, maybe it goes to 4,500 sats. But the time to buy it is probably in the historic low range and not anywhere after that, because this thing just generally hasn't been too healthy over time. Against ETH, it's also working on multi-month bull div, pretty big mean reversion target here back to 0.0034. We need to figure out what the sats equivalent in ETH is, but maybe VITs, 34,000 VITs, or booterins, I don't know. Just spitballing here, but this would be a 2x from here. And it's very near all-time lows. So all-time lows plus bull div plus wedge plus big mean reversion is a decent setup, right? If you're looking into catching knives, it's getting close for me even, where I'm like, yeah, okay, I would be rotating out of ETH and into this. Even if you don't have strong convictions on REN, winning over ETH long-term, based on technicals, if I'm watching this, now is a good time. Now and anything below now is a good time to rotate if you're going to play this at all. Last, I'll just mention ETH-BTC fund and DeFi portfolio. I trade for Techemy Capital and Enzyme Finance, non-custodial portfolio management tool where you can send ETH or USDC or just watch what I'm doing. You can see AUM, allocations, performance, all the coins I'm in, all the fun I'm having on the yield side of things, in and out of Aave Comp or Yearn vaults, deposits, withdrawals down here, as well as when and for how much I'm making all of these trades. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.